that again?
Fantastic Four is pretty damn good, and I'm really happy with it. Now, considering that this year has been pretty hit or miss when it comes to superhero content, I think this is probably my favorite superhero movie this year to come out so far. And dare I say, it's better than Superman. And upon rewatching Superman, yeah, it ages like fine milk. But we're not here to talk about Superman, we're here to talk about Fantastic Four. And let me tell you, man, I really enjoyed this movie. I think there is a lot to like about this. I think the cast has a pretty decent chemistry together, and I quite enjoy them as an ensemble. And I didn't mind Pedro Pascal in it. Now, a lot of people have that Pedro Pascal fatigue, but for me, I'm just sort of like, he did a decent job in this. He may not be a proper Reed Richards as I would like, but he is a pretty decent character in this.
Are we safe?
I don't know.
But yeah, like Pedro, everyone else is pretty damn good in this, and I quite enjoy them as the characters. Now, are they comic accurate? Maybe. I haven't really read much, Fantastic Four comics, but they are pretty good in this movie, I think.
I herald Galactus.
So after a quick little introduction to the Fantastic Four and what they've been up to and how long they've been fighting, which is about 4 years, I think. So they've been doing this crime fighting gig for about 4 years now, and then all of a sudden, this big entity, this space anomaly comes in, and the Silver Surfer arrives. And essentially, she says that planet Earth has been marked for death. The Fantastic Four go out into space to confront Galactus and hopefully negotiate a deal. However, Galactus wants their son. And essentially, because he may have some supernatural or cosmic, abilities about him, the Fantastic Four obviously refuses, and essentially they will not give up the planet for their child or the child for the planet. It's essentially a no-win scenario. So when they get back to Earth, they are trying to find a solution to defeat Galactus while also saving their child and Earth.
You are out of your depth. We're gonna be the best uncles ever.
Now, I was a bit hesitant before seeing some of the early reviews where they said it was decent, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I went in with Superman with that notion, and I was disappointed with Superman by the end of it. I thought it was a decent film, but in all honesty, the more you watch Superman, it sort of ages like fine milk. And with this film, when I came out of it, I was pleasantly surprised, and I quite enjoyed it. And out of the two films, I would say Fantastic Four does a better job at establishing this lived-in world than Superman does. The opening third of this film, I felt like it should have been what Superman was. And I hate to draw comparisons, but Superman is about a person in this lived-in world. Superman is a part of this already established universe. This is essentially its own established universe. However, the Fantastic Four, it shows you that they've been operating for a couple of years now, and how they got their powers and all that. We go through the origin and them fighting and where they're at life. And I really like that we show them at their best, so that by the end of the film, we get to see them fall and then rise back up better than ever as a family. And I really like that about this film.
Say the thing!
That's not really something I say.
I didn't do it.
And yeah, I would say I love the first 2/3 of this film. I think it's a pretty damn decent film. May not be perfect, but I really liked a majority of this film, and I was having a blast with it. There were a couple of jokes that were cut out from the trailers, and I think that was a smart move. Reducing some of the jokes actually helped it and let scenes breathe. The last third of it I liked. It wasn't as great as the first 2/3. However, I would say that the last third is pretty decent, and if anything, that's run-of-the-mill Marvel, where the first 2/3 are pretty damn good, but the last third just sort of falters a bit. I do have a couple of criticisms though. So in the film, there are a couple of plot lines that kind of just don't really go anywhere, or they just sort of end. Like there's this one scene that comes to mind where it's just resolved in like 10 minutes, as essentially Reed Richards tells the world that they refuse to sacrifice their son, and the whole world is obviously outraged, and they are really mad that they didn't sacrifice their own child for the planet. And essentially, all that happens is we see a couple of minutes of this. Sue Storm then comes out, tells the world that, hey, listen, we will not trade our child for you, but we will not trade you for our child. And that's it. Like, that is the best you got in the span of 10 minutes, and then all conflict was resolved after that. I was a bit miffed by that because I wish this was an ongoing thread in the film. Another thing that really made me a bit sort of like, where is this going? And it just sort of goes nowhere, is Ben Grimm and the relationship with this teacher. Now, he does have a somewhat connection, and he talks to her for a bit, and it's like, I guess innocent flirting, I suppose. I don't really know how to call it. But by the end of the film, there's like no resolution to that sort of storyline. At least with the first film, you know, it establishes the thing getting dumped, and then he has a relationship with this blind woman. It's very, it's very different. When it comes to this film, it's just sort of like, oh yeah, he gets a bit moody. He finds this girl, lovely, and then all of a sudden it's just dropped. Like, I don't get why they just sort of like stopped it. I mean, he sees her like, I think 2 or 3 times in the movie, and nothing really happens or progresses with them.
You're supposed to sleep when the baby sleeps.
He thinks the baby actually sleeps.
There was a scene that I feel like it was very reminiscent of The Last Jedi, where a certain character refuses another character to sacrifice themselves. That being said, it is sort of like a little cute scene, and it's nice. I didn't hate it as much as The Last Jedi because I feel like it was earned and sort of it works for the film. Another negative is that we don't get a lot of Galactus, and I kind of wanted more of him. I thought he was a brilliant antagonist in this. He was menacing, he was big. I loved that he's not a fucking cloud in this. Thank God for that. But I feel like we should have got more of him. I really liked him in this film. And I think the actor did a fantastic job with him. And I wish we got him more. That's the shame part, is that we finally have Galactus on screen in his proper form. And he's just sort of like gone by the end of the movie. Now, granted, they don't kill Galactus. Spoiler alert, but they don't kill him. And I'm hoping that they save him for another movie. Hell, even Avengers Doomsday or Avengers Secret Wars, just saying. But I feel like I could have used more of Galactus and his motivation as to why he wants Reed Richards and Sue Storm's child. Also, people were saying, oh, Johnny Storm is less of a, sexy womanizer in this. He does womanize in this, but it's just sort of not to the extent of, say, the first Fantastic Four movie. He is not really a playboy in this per se, but he has a somewhat romantic interest in the Silver Surfer. It's not really per se explored so much, but the whole talk about Johnny Storm being not a womanizer and all this, it's not true. It's not true. Another criticism I did come up with was some of the CGI is very spotty. Now, granted, there are a lot of shots where the CG is pretty freaking great. I think there are some amazing shots in this. I think Galactus looks fantastic. The ship design is so ominous, and I think there is a lot of cool aspects to the CG. The issue I have with it is some of Mr. Fantastic's stretchiness looks a bit, well, cartoony or goofy, and I don't think you can get away with that in a live-action form. I mean, you can try, but it is very odd to see. Another thing is the kid. When you see that baby, holy shit, that is one ugly baby. It is a very ugly baby, and I do not want to touch that with a 5-foot pole. It is horrifying at times. Also, yeah, they do reference the Red Ghost, but yeah, no John Malkovich. He's really cut from the film. Pretty sucks.
We will face this together. We will fight it together. As a family.
Overall, I was really happy with this film, and I actually want to see more of this Fantastic Four iteration. I still have a soft spot in my heart for those original 2000s Fantastic Four movies, and even the Roger Corman movie, if you can find it. They are very unique in their way. But this film, I feel like it's a genuinely good attempt at the Fantastic Four. Is it perfect? No, of course not. There are issues with it in terms of story, plot, and certain plot lines just sort of dropped or just end unsatisfactorily. But I feel like there is enough in this film to really enjoy and like. And Pedro Pascal doesn't overstay his welcome, and he's not annoying in this. And granted, like, he has a really good agent. Congrats, Pedro. So, overall, I give Fantastic Four 2 out of 10 beers. I really enjoyed this film. And if you are okay with some wonky CGI and some plot lines just sort of ending and all that, then I think you'll enjoy this film fine. You know, it's a lot of fun, and even though that at the beginning of the year I was going to be like, Superman is going to be my boy, yeah, Fantastic Four beats it, and it is probably my favorite superhero film this year. Yeah, it beats out Captain America, which I thought it was fine, but the more I watch it, it sort of gets worse. And I think that's the problem with superhero movies now, is that the more you watch it, the more they sort of go down in your opinion. And maybe this might be just my first viewing of Fantastic Four, and I might need a second viewing. But as of right now, I really enjoyed Fantastic Four, and I wouldn't mind seeing it again. I will probably see this again this weekend, and hopefully it lives up to that sort of high bar that it's been set. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel and ring the bell icon. It really keeps me going. And as always, I just want to let you know to take care and have a good one.
We will protect you.
Fantastic